What's up? What's good? Matt Clark here at the new Matt Clark. How are each and every one of you doing on this amazing Saturday? I'm doing great. My girl's doing great. My family's doing great. Hope each and every one of you are doing great. And I hope you're having a good weekend. Let loose, relax, and get ready for another busy week. Because that's what you got to do to stay on track. Keep yourself busy. Idle hands are the devil's playground, and we all know that. So work as much as you can, have hobbies, whatever it is, stay busy and keep yourself on a positive thing. And I just hope everybody's having a great weekend. I hope that is what it is. If you could please hit that like button, that subscribe button, and that bell notification button so you get all my videos when they're new. If you could share with somebody on social media, help spread the message, help spread the word, that'd be amazing. And there's a PayPal option if you'd like to donate, help support the channel. The link will be in the description of this video. So what's up, what's up, what's up? How are you on this weekend? How's everybody doing? What's the weather like where you're at? Because I know here it's like this. One day it's 15, one day it's 0, then the next day it's minus 15, then the next day it's plus this, then minus. It's crazy, man. The weather, it's out of control, but we know winter is almost done, and we're ready for that because we've actually had a long, snowy winter for once. You know, it seems like it's been a long time since it's been snowy like this anyway. So today I just want to talk about why do people go to prison? Now, we obviously know that there's a lot of reasons why people go to prison. But what would be the main reason? And I would assume that that main reason is some kind of abuse. Now, I know poverty is a big reason as to why people go to prison. I know that lack of opportunity is a huge reason as to why people go to prison. But I definitely think that the prison population is the most traumatized population, whether it's experiencing physical abuse, emotional abuse, sexual abuse, seeing drug abuse, seeing your family use drugs, your parents, whoever it is that's your legal guardian, your whole life, just growing up surrounded by trauma. And sometimes I think people don't really understand and just assume that if somebody's going to prison, they have to be some gangster or some thug. And if you're, like, I remember people used to ask me all the time, like, why would you go to prison? You came from a family that supported you your whole life. Your parents are still together. Like, what reason did you have to go to prison? And I know it can look that way, that probably there's not a real reason why I should have gone to prison. But when you experience abuse and you experience trauma and things happen, it can throw things off the rail. Now, everybody who's been watching my channel knows that I personally experienced sexual abuse in my life. But not only that, I lost my brother when I was young. He got arrested for 2 counts of murder, and he was gone from my family. It tore my whole family apart. So from the outside looking in, my family would look normal. If you saw them, they're still together. You know, we had a good upbringing, a fair, decent amount of opportunity, but there was a lot of darkness shrouding the household and the family because of what happened. And then also experiencing sexual abuse definitely threw me off kilter, and I just kind of, by 15 years old, I wanted to be bad. And it didn't start with drugs for me. It started with wanting to be bad, wanting to rebel against the system. Angry. And that's normal for any child or teenager that went through what I went through. And I remember I had this homie one time. He's a great friend of mine for a large portion of my life. I lived with him at parts of my life. And just somebody that I really thought was like one of my best friends in my whole life. And I still have mad love for this person, despite the fact that I don't talk to them, I don't see them. It's not somebody who I could ever hate because of how close of a friendship we had. We never had like a real fall off, we just grew apart. So I remember thinking to myself, why does this guy go to jail? And why is this guy so angry? Why is he so angry? He's from Aurora, or a town in York region, which is not a place with a ton of poverty. Sure, maybe his family didn't have a ton of money, but they weren't poor. They had everything they needed. And sometimes it didn't make sense to me why he was so angry, why he was so violent, and why he would lash out so quickly. And it quickly became real to me when I found out that he had been experiencing abuse his whole life, and his mom had been experiencing abuse his whole life. And there was a point where he found out the person that was abusing him wasn't who he thought he was. So there was a lot of deep resentment between him and this man, specifically him towards this man. It wasn't sexual abuse, it was physical abuse. And the reality is, one day I was there, and they're arguing. It's his stepdad, let's be real. They're arguing, and he's about to leave. My homeboy's about to leave. He's like, screw this, I'm out of here. You guys, I'm gone. And his pops tells me to tell him, you tell that if he doesn't get out of here, I'm calling the fucking cops. And I said, you sure you want me to tell him that? You sure that is what you want me to tell him now, knowing everything that I know about the situation? You sure that's a good idea? He goes, you tell him. I said, all right. So I go outside and I tell him, I say, yo, your pop said if you don't get out of here right now, he's calling the feds. And he just, red zone, bro. Red zone. Big knife out of his pocket, running into the house, ready for war. Now, I was in a situation because I love my homeboy. This is my best friend. His mom, Dukes, is an amazing person. And his stepfather is just a little dude, right? It's going to be a real problem. Once he grew up, the abuse stopped because he would have smashed the man. But because he thought one thing, he always hesitated. But anyway, it doesn't matter. The point being, he goes running in. I have to break up this huge fight. His stepfather is locked in the bedroom, literally screaming, tripping out, thinking that this guy's going to kill him, which he quite possibly might have if he was able to get in that room. There was a lot of physical confrontation, and me and my homeboy had to get out of there. Now, nobody got severely hurt. Nobody got stabbed, and nobody lost their life. It was just a physical altercation. And for the longest time, I had no idea why. I had no idea why. But now, this day, it showed me everything I needed to know about why he was the way he was. I saw how he was spoken to. I saw the kind of physical violence that he probably dealt with when he was younger and smaller. I could see the attitude of this man who was supposed to be his father. And I can only imagine the trauma and the fear of being a young man and having to worry about the person supporting you, taking his frustration, his anger out, not only on you, but also his mom, and having to see that every day of your life and not building up resentment and anger and frustration towards everything. He was my homeboy before that, but at this point, it was like, this dude has been through it. Now, if you go through the prison population, I'm sure you're going to see a whole lot more of that. And that is a reality. And that is why the most important thing in the system and for the system is to start individualizing treatment, giving people who have been through these traumatic incidents, PTSD, all this stuff. Like, it doesn't matter what it is, okay? If you see your parents do drugs your whole life, your parents overdose, whatever, what kind of a chance do you have not to be a drug addict, to not to want to do that? And I know there's the two extremes. There's the extreme drug addict that comes from that, and then there's the person who experiences that all their life and decides to go completely the other way and become super duper duper successful. And both of those scenarios come from having parents that are drug addicts. But I think it's more likely that you're going to grow up wanting to be like your parents, doing the things that you see, having a lot of freedom as a kid and as a teenager, which isn't always good for somebody who doesn't always know what's best for them. And when you're young, let's be honest, you don't know what's best for you. You just don't. You need guidance. That wisdom's not there. Those learning experiences haven't happened. And that is why I kept landing myself in prison. It wasn't because I was dumb. Well, I was. But it wasn't because I was dumb. It was because I was out in the streets. I didn't have that guidance. Me and my homeboys were young. We were learning on our own. We were coming up in the streets from petty crime to real crime, from just learning on our own. And that took time. And that time cost me years and years in prison. But the reality is, I'm able to see life in a completely different way because of a lot of the things that I went through. It's tragic. Anybody that spends as much time in prison as I did, especially if they just had some help, the right help, maybe it wouldn't have happened, or maybe it would have been scaled back a bit. That's a fact, but at least I learned and experienced a lot in my short life, right? I'm 39 years old. That's not old. And I'm able to see things from a different perspective. I feel like all perspectives, because I've been through it. And I think that if you go through the prison population, you're going to see a lot of perseverance. You're going to see a lot of trauma, though. You're going to see a lot of pain if you dig deep into each person's story. And I think that's the biggest tragedy in our system, is the fact that there is no individualized rehabilitation. It's all group, basic crap, super vague crap, just to say they're doing it to meet a quota. But the reality is, most people that are doing these long sentences, they need help. They need to learn how to manage their money properly. They need to learn how to respect the fact of making money legitimately. That's why trades and jobs and stuff are important in jails and prisons. But in Canada, all that stuff has been stripped back. There's none of that no more. You're literally just sitting and doing time, wasting time. And when people get out, they're in a much more traumatized position than when they got in. So you have all that abuse and crap from before, and then you have all that crap from inside. And how can it do anything except create worse criminals or worse animals? You can't just be surrounded by negative all the time and expect somebody to have a different opinion of the world and have a different opinion of how to go through it and walk every day of their life. You know, when you're battling for safety and for freedom and just for basic survival, you have a much different temperament and mindset than somebody who's coasting. And sometimes when you bring this person together with this person, it clashes. People need to be taught. They need to learn, and they need individual counseling while they're in prison. There's no other way. If you truly care about helping people and people getting better and doing better in the community and not going back to jail, then that's what needs to happen. You know, it is what it is. Obviously, I share my stories with you guys so you don't have to go through these things yourselves. If I could snap my finger, nobody goes back to prison. Nobody experiences abuse, trauma, PTSD, drug abuse, any of that stuff. That's what I do, but that's not a reality. We all know that. It's hard out here, man. And it doesn't matter if you're living on the straight and narrow or if you're living as a criminal. Life is hard out here. And sometimes you're put in a position where you have to make decisions, and those decisions can either land you in prison, or those decisions can land you as an addict because you're just trying to deal with that stress of every day, just doing monotonous things just to survive. At least my videos will try to uplift and show you that it is worth it in the long run, man. Because being in prison, you can't do nothing. You can't help your family. You can't have kids. You can't experience your kids. You can't build any kind of a life. And every time you get out of jail, you have to start over. And that's a fact. So Even if you're scraping by legitimately, you're building. And over time, you'll be able to be comfortable. You just got to make the right decisions. And that is a fact. People have been doing it since the beginning of time. You work hard, you try to save for a rainy day if you have to, and you just keep going and you do what matters and you prioritize your life in a way that gives you the best possible chance at a positive outcome. If you could please hit that like button, that subscribe button, and that bell notification button so you get all my videos when they're new. If you could share with somebody on social media, help spread the message, help spread the word, that'd be amazing. And there's a PayPal option if you'd like to donate, help support the channel. The link is in the description of this video. Like I said, you go look at the prison population, you will see the most traumatized population. Whether it's sexual abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, seeing your family, your parents, your guardians, whatever, drug abuse and physical abuse on them, just seeing a lot of violence, a lot of gang stuff, any of that stuff over and over and over traumatizes the mind and it leads you astray. It is what it is. We need to be vigilant, and when you go to jail, you need to be vigilant. You need to make the necessary steps to change your life. I have somebody that I've been talking to since the beginning of this channel. We're going to do an interview soon. We'll talk his story. But it's important. Like, you have to take responsibility of your life. Whether you have been through abuse and trauma and it hasn't been worked on or not, you have to find the place to work on it. You have to recognize what needs to be done, and you really have to start taking accountability of your own life and actions. And that's what I had to do to make a better life for myself. And I still struggle and I still stress. But every day I got somewhere warm to put my head. I got a job to go to. I have food to put in my stomach, which is a lot more than I could say consistently when I was breaking the law and when I was spending my life in prison. It's just a total waste of time. You can do better. If you're here, you deserve to do better, and you have purpose. Outgrow your abuse and show that that doesn't define. Love each and every one of you. The new Matt Club.